So, of course, we covered this press conference yesterday. We had a story come up. I'm going to quickly recap a couple of things just so everybody understands we're all on the same page. Let me go here and open this up. All right, so this was on Friday on the Keeler Show. Dave Gordon, as our audience is aware, held a news conference yesterday addressing a story that we had posted over the weekend and something that Bill talked about on Friday about an alleged domestic incident in 2017. It resulted in his arrest and 2 charges. We never alleged anything. As Keeler said on Friday, he's running for a county-wide office, county executive in Oneida County, New York, running for a position like that. And this is out there, and it's 2017. I mean, we're just fresh into 2019. Well, it wasn't that long ago. And then you should have to address this.
And then if we want to I want to make a clarification, unless we want to wait until that point. There was a couple of things he said in the press conference that maybe we should clarify. For instance, one of the things we talked about on Friday is that we had an anonymous person.
We'll get into that.
Okay.
Charges were filed. They were later dropped. He had his pistol removed from his possession. He had talked about that yesterday, and actually it's still, according to Mr. Gordon, he still has not had that weapon returned. That's one of his beefs with Oneida County DA Scott McNamara. So yesterday he addresses the story that we put up this weekend, just mentions the arrest. We ask him for a statement on it. We'd like him to address it. Again, it's in 2017. He's running for public office. He should have to address this. In it, he says he takes full responsibility. He made that statement before and after, and I'll stop short of saying blaming, but I'm going to let you decide what he's saying happened here. He talks about the emotional outbursts of the alleged victim in this case, and that she was hormonal because she was pregnant. I'll let you decide what he's actually saying. I guess we'll begin with that cut. We asked him for a response. He came out. He held this press conference yesterday. I'm going to play this. It's about 90 seconds. I want you to hear the whole thing because he's going to accuse us of editing it and switching things around. We did not. The full audio is on our website. Other people have it up as well. You can see we did not mess with this. I'm going to play this, and then I'm going to go back. This is about 90 seconds, and then I'll cue in on certain pieces of it.
Got it there?
In response to an arrest report purported by the local radio show, which was most likely obtained illegally and submitted by an insider at the district attorney's office and or the Utica Police Department, as this was a sealed and dismissed matter, I was in fact arrested in 2017 for breaking a cell phone during a very sensitive situation involving my fiancée. At the time, my fiancée was experiencing some unexplained emotional issues. Yes, I probably could have handled things differently, and hindsight is 20/20. Knowing that something wasn't right, I again left my home that evening and stayed in a hotel hoping to stabilize the situation. In my fiance's emotionally charged mindset, she in fact called the police, and as such, I was then arrested a few days later. After a period of 4 days, we reconciled our differences and sought a doctor to determine what had caused this emotional outburst. We were then informed that my fiancée was in fact 6 weeks pregnant and concluded that a contributing factor to this one-time occurrence was because of some hormonal changes and obviously my inexperience in how to handle this type of situation. After this, we did a lot of research, concluding that these episodes are very common in relationships when an unknown pregnancy occurs. I take full responsibility for the occurrence, making no excuses. Today, our daughter is the best thing that could have ever happened to us. Our relationship and bond has never.
And that's, I'll cut it off there, and then I want to cue in here on a couple of things that he said. And he's probably right. I mean, children are the most amazing thing in the world. It's the greatest gift that a parent could ever have in the world. So he's got a daughter now, and that's great and good for him. And I'm sure it's the greatest thing that's ever happened to him, because I know when I had my son, it was the greatest thing that ever happened to me. But I want to cue in on what he said just before that, where he says, I take full responsibility. I'm not making any excuses except for what I say before and after I make that statement.
After a period of 4 days, we reconciled our differences and sought a doctor to determine what had caused this emotional outburst. We were then informed that my fiancée was in fact 6 weeks pregnant and concluded that a contributing factor to this one-time occurrence was because of some hormonal changes and obviously my inexperience in how to handle this type of situation.
Again, we never said he did anything. We just asked him to address the arrest, okay? He gets into this whole thing where whatever happened, which we don't know what happened, he takes full responsibility for it. But he's concluded that the emotional state of the alleged victim in this case is the reason that she decided to call the police and pursue charges. Then he's done research. And guess what? This didn't just happen to him. It's common.
To this one-time occurrence was because of some hormonal changes and obviously my inexperience in how to handle this type of situation. After this, we did a lot of research, concluding that these episodes are very common in relationships when an unknown pregnancy occurs. I take full responsibility for the occurrence, making no excuses.
Except for the ones I just gave you. Okay. That's how he addressed it. You, as a voter in the county, you decide how you want to handle that. You believe him, you don't believe him, whatever. What he did from there was even more shocking. From there, he starts throwing out allegations against 2 county officials and Bill Keeler.
Three county officials.
3 county officials. And I guess, you know what? You want to throw the Utica Police Department in there, too? Because
Sure.
He said somebody illegally obtained this arrest report, he says. Hold on. We illegally obtained it, and he's throwing out Utica Police. He's going to sue them. He's going to sue Scott McNamara. And then he's going to smear a couple of county officials and Bill Keeler. And here's where it gets interesting. You can read between the lines, right? These unfounded, baseless allegations that he makes. So when other people say, he's making accusations about a personal relationship, I get it. You don't want to get into it. I get it. But it's not true, which is why I think it's important to expose what he said, because it's not true. That a guy running for county executive would come out, hold a press conference at City Hall. Why didn't he do it at the county building, I wonder? Does it at City Hall and just smears people because he wants the position they have, that they were elected to. I'm going to get into some clips here from other media because really, I'll say everybody was there, but you know what I mean. A couple radio stations, a couple TV stations, the OD was there. We're going to get into some of the things he said when he's pressed for proof on these shocking allegations that he has. He's blowing the lid off Oneida County. Here we go. Here's where he says he has tangible proof and then kind of backs around and talks in a circle. And I'll play the question from the reporter.
In reaction to the story.
This is me. Hold on. That's the wrong cut.
Now, one of the things, too, that I think this is where we should address one of the things, because he talks about the illegally obtained
all right, if you want to get to that, here, I'll play this for you here. Here we go. Here we go.
Keeler also publicly admitted to withholding this police report, waiting for an opportune time to use it as a device to discredit and defame my character.
Lie. That's a lie. I'm going to play you the clip from Friday where Keeler says some people had approached, I'll say a person approached Andrew, and then I believe several months later a person, I don't even know if it's the same person, had said something to me. And at some point, someone apparently had said something to Keeler. We didn't know there was an arrest report. We didn't withhold anything. We didn't wait until you ran for a bigger race to break this story. Are you kidding? We just got the arrest report last week.
That's the point. We didn't specifically run the story because we did not have the proof.
Because it would have been a smear.
Yes.
What you did yesterday, smearing people, that's what we would have been doing had we run the story without the arrest report. Here's Dave Gordon again.
Keeler also publicly admitted to withholding this police report, waiting for an opportune time to use it as a device to discredit and defame my character.
That's a lie. Here's the evidence. Here's what Keeler said on Friday. He explains it.
Reiterating what we're talking about here, and I do want to reiterate that this is something that we had back during the county clerk's race, but we did not have the arrest report.
Right. We had reports.
We had someone saying, this happened, I witnessed it, or witnessed something, aware of what occurred. Let's put it that way. And you guys in the media should not be covering this up. Well, we didn't have any evidence.
There you go. That's what he says. The full clip is up on our website. You can go listen to the whole thing. The whole segment we did Friday was about 10 minutes in length. I'm not going to play the whole thing for you here. That's what Keeler said about it. But according to Dave Gordon, Keeler publicly admitted we withheld it till he ran for a bigger office so that we could shame him.
Keeler.
Here's the clip. Oh, hang on.
Also publicly admitted to withholding this police report, waiting for an opportune time to use it as a device to discredit and defame my character.
Lie. Here we go. Here's where he gets into, he made these incredible allegations against county officials. Why? Because he wants their jobs. So he's proven yesterday he'll stop at nothing, say anything to smear them. I keep calling it a smear because I think it's the best word, the best phrase to describe what he's doing. By the way, I'll play this gem for you.
But it goes against my belief that office holders should be held to a much higher standard.
Well, you're seeking office. Shouldn't you be held to a higher standard as well? So here we go. Here's where he gets into this whole thing about he's being asked why all of a sudden this story comes out about you, and now you return. You're slamming this one, you're slamming this one, and you're slamming Keeler on top of it. Here's the question, and I want you to listen. I'll replay his answer because here's where he's almost honest. When asked, why are you coming out with this now? Where does all this information come from now on this Monday morning, 2 days after WIBX posts the story? Listen to his answer.
So why didn't you bring out this before, I guess, your allegation was brought out and made public recently?
I didn't have any reason to bring this information has been confirmed more recently than that.
You hear that? A reporter who actually is for a competing outlet asks him, what are you bringing this up for now? It doesn't make any sense. Why would you bring this up now? Listen to his answer, how he stops halfway through because he's being honest. He doesn't know how to handle it. He's being because nobody said anything bad about me. But actually, I mean, this information just came to light. Listen to his answer. This is not edited.
I didn't have any reason to bring this information has been confirmed more recently than that.
I didn't have any reason to bring. I mean, this information just came out. Here we go. He's asked again. This is Gary Libertor over at WKTV asked this question. This is a question specifically about why is Keeler being brought into this? And I'm trying to pull up here. Chance to discredit him, tangible proof. Bear with me for a second. Okay, here we go.
I may also call into question Keeler's involvement into an alleged affair with an unnamed female, even having a child with this individual. Here we go. I may also call into question Keeler's involvement into an alleged affair with an unnamed female, even having a child with this individual several years ago.
Apparently, this is newsworthy. He's going to hold a news conference at City Hall and say a radio host had an affair, which is, I said 100% not true. You said 1,000% not true. It is unbelievable. Here's one asked by Gary Libertor at WKTV. What do you? I don't understand. What is the deal with you're going after a radio host about an alleged affair, which is not even true? Here's the question and the answer. Again, a bit of honesty. I'm only saying it because he said something about me. Listen to his answer.
Does Keeler's having a baby with another woman have to do with anything, though?
Because he's brought into light a personal affair or a personal situation in which I was involved in. Again, he's a person of public influence based on his position with a news outlet, and he should be held to a much higher standard than the average, regular day, prudent person.
His second answer is because Bill's an influential person, so he should be held to a higher standard. Again, Dave's holding other people to higher standards, yet he can go out and defame people like he did yesterday. Apparently that's okay because he's only a candidate for the 19th time for office. Here we go. Listen to the beginning of the answer once again.
Because he's brought into light a personal affair or a personal situation in which I was involved in. Again,
there you go. That's the real answer. I'm smearing him because he brought up something that I didn't want brought up. Okay? Again, now, here we go. After he makes claims against the Oneida County DA's office, saying somebody illegally leaked us the arrest report, and he's going to sue the station, he's going to sue Keeler, he's going to sue the DA's office. He talks about corruption at this press conference. Now, I want you to listen here. Who does he want to investigate these unfounded, uncorroborated claims? The Oneida County DA's office. And what should they do with it? They should either confirm or dispel the rumors he's spitting out there.
Is this after or before he wants Scott McNamara to be thrown out of office?
Here we go.
I call the Oneida County District Attorney's Office as well as the New York State Attorney General's Office to conduct an investigation into this accusation and either confirm or dispel these potential abuses of power.
Confirm or dispel these potential abuses of power. Meanwhile, he's running around in City Hall talking about Me Too, corruption, abuse of power, victims, men. It was unbelievable. And again, I understand we're going to miss the top of the hour here. We're going to have to skip Fox because I'm in the middle of this and I can't stop. The fact that in the middle of this, he's standing at City Hall making these unbelievable claims. He wants someone to come in and he wants an investigation of what? He's determining in his mind, even though nothing happened, he's, again, the labeling of victims, it goes on and on. Here we go. Gordon says he has proof, but actually doesn't have proof.
We have proof.
This is another reporter. You claim you have proof. What's your proof? You don't have any proof.
We have proof. We have names, we have dates, and we will give that information to the authority for them to investigate. But again, to protect the integrity of the case and the identity of the victims. Because let's not forget, these people are victims. They were used in an instance in which the power assumed by these elected representatives, they used their power to supersede, their own personal judgment. And unfortunately, I just believe that that's wrong. We can't continue to, people of power can't continue to victimize.
They cannot continue to victimize other people, especially women, is how the end of that quote is.
Who've never made a complaint. I don't think there's ever been.
Because there wasn't an incident.
Right.
He's making this up to smear people.
How can you
He
have
wants your job, right? Be on notice, other county officials, elected officials. If he wants your job, he'll stop at nothing to say things to run your name through the mud. So here we go. Here's again Dave Gordon advising us all on how we should hold people to a higher standard.
But it goes against my belief that office holders should be held to a much higher standard.
Keep in mind, he's doing this at a news conference where he's upset about answering something that he didn't want to come out, and he's basically slandering a radio host. So he's going on this whole tirade about how he has to keep elected officials and hold them to a higher standard. At the same time, uncorroborated, no proof, will say anything about anyone, and he'll throw in there if you're an elected official because he knows the burden when you're slamming an elected official. It's a bit different because they're a public figure versus a private citizen. Now, I understand Bill has been on the radio for 100 years, right? But again, the whole idea that he brings in a radio host and lumps everyone in together with these allegations. Here we go, Dave.
But it goes against my belief that office holders should be held to a much higher standard.
All right, and here's where I'm gonna change course. If you want the full audio yesterday, it's posted on our website. You can play back all this stuff. It's all in there. When I say I didn't edit, I didn't change anything. I obviously highlighted some clips of things he said that I thought were ridiculous. But then I want you to listen to this because this gets more into Dave Gordon and the things that he'll say when he wants to get elected or when he's running for a particular office. Okay, I have here, this is from the Utica OD. Did I lose the clip here? I'm looking for it. That's not it. I'm going to have to pull up the clip from the OD. Why don't I have it here? I might have to take a break to pull this up. Where he explains, okay, Dave, on this show, Mr. Gordon, has several times positioned himself as a conservative Democrat. He's a conservative Democrat, okay? He talks about he wants to hold the line on taxes. I got to pull up this audio. I have to pull up this audio. I don't want you to take my word for it. I want you to listen to what he actually says. We're going to take a quick break. I know it's 8:03. We'll come back. Just give me 60 seconds. I got to pull up this audio. It was audio posted by the OD. It's following his announcement. It's where he explains that he's fiscally conservative and he's going to hold the line on taxes, while in other interviews talks about reducing the sales tax. Do you know what that would do to property taxes here? He's going to hold the line and then raise your property taxes when he cuts the sales tax. We'll get into it in 1 second. Let me get the audio. We're coming right back. First News Keeler in the morning on WIBX.
WIBX WIBX 950, Utica, Rome.
All right, we're back here. I had to pull up the audio. If you're looking for it yourself, you can find it. It's via the Utica OD. It's Oneida County Executive Candidate Outlines platform. It's their coverage of Dave Gordon's announcement that he's running for county executive. Here we go. I'm going to play this. It is a 1 minute, 11-second clip posted at the uticaod.com. In it, Dave is about to explain to you how he's fiscally conservative. He's going to hold the line on property taxes. And, oh, by the way, the reason property taxes are going up, the reason everything's so expensive in Oneida County is because incumbent Anthony Picenti spends too much on his office. Listen to this, and I'll explain to you how absurd it is.
Agenda that includes holding the line on taxes, particularly by cutting some of the wasteful spending in county government. One of the things we talked about in the speech was the county executive's own private budget. His office budget is $670,000 plus to run his executive office. When he took office, it was around $300,000. One of the things I'm going to do is I'm going to roll back the spending on my own office. I think it's great to set an example for everybody in county government, and the way you set example is you lead by example, and that's one of the things that I'm focused on doing. The other thing we're going to talk about is looking at the sales tax and looking at ways to reduce the sales tax. And the reason why that's important, because the high rate of taxation, the high rate of sales tax right now gives our neighboring counties a competitive advantage. And although that may not seem like a great thing, one of the things I had to do recently was I ordered a package from Lowe's. And the only place I could pick it up was down in Herkimer County. And one of the things I thought about was, what if contractors from the Utica area are going all the way down to Lowe's down in Herkimer County to take advantage of their 8.25% sales tax? And I think it's very, very important that we look at ways to be with our competitive advantage and really work to find ways to make sure people aren't leaving the county.
So there's people leaving the county for a 0.25% reduction. It's actually a 0.5% reduction. Driving into Herkimer County so they can go to Lowe's and spend $10,000 or more on on a home improvement, a bath improvement, a kitchen improvement. The idea that people from inside Oneida County are fleeing the county so that they can go out and save 0.25%. 0.25%. Do you understand how much that is? That's 25 cents on $100. 0.25%.
Listen, the quarter's a quarter, Jeff. Come on.
I'm rethinking in my head if that's... Yeah, I believe that's 25 cents on $100, 0.25%. Because on, 8.75 on $100 is $8.75. So 0.25% is 25 cents for every $100 you spend. So you want to buy jeans or sneakers or a jacket, or you want to take someone to dinner, maybe on Valentine's Day. You leave Oneida County to save money. You save 0.25%. He's proposing 0.25% reduction. 0.25% of the sales tax is 25 cents on every $100 you spend. And here's where it gets even more ridiculous. The sales tax, we've explained this on the show before. Mr. Gordon doesn't get it. Or maybe that's his political belief. It could be. It could totally be that this is the way he thinks that it should be run. The sales tax is something everybody pays. So people from outside the area, when they come here, they pay a sales tax. When they buy gas, when they buy, they go to dinner, when they make any purchase in the county, that's taxable. They pay a sales tax. Well, that money goes to the county, and it gets redistributed, some of it, among the cities and towns and villages here in Oneida County. Well, to cut that, we talked to Anthony Picenti last week. 0.25% reduction equals about $7 or $8 million in the county budget. So how are you going to make that up? How do you make up this $7 to $8 million for every quarter of the sales tax that you cut?
Property tax.
How else would you do it? You're cutting your income stream. He wants to hold the line on property taxes while cutting the income stream that everybody pays, even people who don't live here. When you rely on property taxes, the only people who pay are the people who live here, the people who own properties here. I want to go back to something else he said. I don't know if this is true. I've learned that the things he says, especially at face value, don't take his word for it. But he claims the county's executive budget has gone from $300,000 to $670,000. So let's round up. We'll say $400,000 difference. Now, mind you, it's been over a decade that Tony Picenti's been in office.
Years.
It's not like he did this 1 year over the next. He's been there over a decade, okay? What's $7.5 million minus $400,000? It's $7.1 million. So in the plan he just outlined there, he's still $7.1 million short of his 0.25% property tax reduction, which, do you know how much that impacts your pocket? Do you know how much of a difference you would notice for every $100 you spend? You go out to dinner, spend $100. There's our political savior, Dave Gordon, reducing the sales tax 0.25%. He saved you 25 cents on that dinner. 25 cents. You buy dinner, or you buy $100 worth of clothes, 25 cents you'd save. But again, it's not a noticeable thing that you pay because everybody who comes to Oneida County pays it. So that cost gets spread among everybody. I got one more clip I have to play here. This is Dave. Dave presents himself as, because he talks in circles. He kind of makes things up. He fills in the blanks as he goes. He has this rehearsed rhetoric. He's very good at it. We've talked about it on the show. He's really, really good at it. This is Dave Gordon on, I guess at the time was it Time Warner or Spectrum? I want to play this cut here.
Yeah, we don't know who the owner was at that time.
I'm trying to. Okay, what it's labeled now, Spectrum News One.
It's with Liz
Benjamin, right? Who deals with
Benjamin.
Politicians and the claims they make, and she's very good.
This is when he was running for Congress.
Right. This is Dave running for Congress, and he goes on to explain that he's a conservative Democrat who fully supports Bernie Sanders. Okay, and I'm going to post all the video, all the audio I've played today. Right. You have to look at the look on her face. She's, what are you talking about? You don't necessarily hear it, but she is stunned. And then at one point, she laughs at some of his answers where Dave presents himself. He says he's a conservative Democrat, right? But at the same time, he goes on to say he's fiscally conservative, and he corrects her to say, well, people say I'm fiscally conservative. I'm not a conservative Democrat. It's so confusing. I'm getting confused as I'm trying to explain it to you. Here's Dave Gordon. This goes back to April 2016, where he's beating this drum that he's a conservative Democrat and all the great work he did on the county board. And he's trying to convince Liz Benjamin that even though he's a huge Bernie Sanders supporter, a Democratic socialist, he's actually a conservative Democrat or fiscally conservative. Listen.
Said eliminating those state boundaries is the first step in addressing an interstate healthcare type program where all of the companies are involved in the bidding process for people's health insurance, making it much more competitive.
You know, you don't sound awfully conservative to me. I mean, you put yourself forward as a conservative Democrat. So where are you conservative exactly?
No, people have called me a fiscal conservative.
I see.
Especially on a local level when we look at how we tax and how we spend and the things that local government bonds for, such as parking lots in Oneida County.
Just to be clear there, I'm not a conservative Democrat. I'm a fiscal conservative. After she says, well, that doesn't really sound that conservative, but listen, it gets better.
And, you know, just some of the decisions that are made that at the time I voted against it. I voted against property tax increases, which were part of our county executive's budget when I was a county legislator. I tried to reduce our sales tax. I thought that there was great opportunity to do that.
There he is. Again, he's fighting to reduce the sales tax, which means your property taxes are going to go up.
With the Oneida Indian Nation agreement that had been made. So there was great opportunity to be coined as a true fiscal conservative because of my record.
Do you support, I mean, Bernie Sanders supports raising taxes on the rich. Do you
Absolutely.
support that?
Absolutely.
That's not fiscally conservative.
No, well, you're two different things.
You got me. You're right. I'm not fiscally conservative. I'm a huge Bernie guy, which is fine. I don't care who he backs. He misrepresents himself. And again, getting back to how this started, what he did yesterday was shocking. The reason we fully ran everything he said is because you as a voter in Oneida County need to know the character of a guy who's running for office, who would stand there with no evidence, no proof, just run someone's name through the mud and say what he said yesterday.
Without a second thought.
Without a sec. And he lumps in Keeler, too, by the way, just for good measure. And why does he lump in Keeler? He almost admits to it. Let me pull up here. Let me pull up here. Listen to his answer. He realizes he's being too honest, so he changes his answer.
To bring this information has been confirmed more recently than that.
One more time. Why are you doing it?
I didn't have any reason to bring this information.
I didn't have any reason to do it. I mean, this information it just came out. It just came out. I'll leave you with this because I know this has gone on longer than we wanted it to. Here's what I think The only valid point Dave Gordon made yesterday.
But it goes against my belief that office holders should be held to a much higher standard.
That's a guy who runs for office every single term. He says anything he'll say to get your vote. He changes his position constantly. He's disingenuous. He's a great talker. He's a smart guy.
But it goes against my belief that office holders should be held to a much higher standard.
For a guy to come out and do what he did yesterday, I do think that you ought to consider holding a guy like this to a much higher standard. He wants to be the county executive, wants to oversee a $350 million budget. I don't know how more plain I can make it.
But it goes against my belief that office holders should be held to a much higher standard.